Hello, come on in. I know how it's going. Whew, shit. It's Tuesday. It's Mars Day. We're busting through the blocks, right, with Mars energy. Very feisty, fiery. Entering into Aries as well. So let's go. Hello, hello. Come on in, the water is the water. Demigod, I'd love to co-host with you, but I don't know you that well. My little love. Hi Tina, how are you? Today is Tuesday, which is Mars Day, so we're going to take the energy of Carpe Diem, but I like to put a little twist on it. Carpe D's nuts. So, seize life by the balls today. If you do nothing else, seize life by the balls. So, hello, hello. I'm Lara Jo, Siren Song Lover. I'm an intuitive reader. I'm a medium. I do a little bit of everything all rolled into one. Let me know how you're doing, where you're coming from. We're going to start. Just bounce right into it. I have today is my kid's birthday, so I know all about that Aries energy. Okay, so 7th chakra, which would be our crown, that's Archangel Uriel. So recognizing our divinity, our knowing is our crown. So calling upon Uriel, the crown chakra is purple, right? So it's our divine knowledge. If you're anything like me, like people tried to steal my divine knowledge a long ass time ago, and it's time to reclaim. So call upon Uriel to be helping you with that, right? Uriel is very much about knowledge, sharing information. He's tied to Aquarius. So recognizing, okay, how do you have to start seeing things from I say this because Aquarius is very alien-like. They're very otherworldly. Start seeing things from an otherworldly perspective, seeing a higher and greater picture. If you need help, come talk to me. Come book with me. Hello, hello. All right, let's see what else we need to know. Patience, except it's coming out in reverse. So I actually kind of dig this because, again, it's Mars Day, right? We charge forth. So the time to be patient is no longer, right? It's time to tell a bitch how you feel. So patience in reverse is saying you have been patient too long. This is a message that has been coming up for me the last few days, is that I've been too patient for too long, and it is now time to seize the day. So hello, hello. I'm Lara Jo. If you're coming in, you like my vibe, like, comment, share. You want to book a reading, please do so. Okay, so envy. You've had a lot of envy around you, right? Evil eye, jealousy. You need to start seeing people for who they truly are. So again, with Archangel Uriel and your 7th chakra, that's your crown chakra. So start recognizing how people may have been projecting onto you, right? Other people's claims about you, that's actually envy and projection, right? When they say, oh, you're too this or you're too that, no, that's something that they feel within themselves, but because you're an external source, they like to point it at you, which is no bueno. So with the Uriel in the 7th chakra, again, that's your crown chakra, that's your divinity, that's your knowing. So recognizing when people don't truly actually like you. And with patience in reverse, again, this is saying you've been patient for too long. It is now time to start taking back your own life. Start telling people no. Start being very conservative with your time, your energy, and who you give it to. All right? So come on in. The water is the water. I'm Lara Jo, Siren Song Lover, doing collective tarot reads. Okay, so contract. There, and this is coming up a lot as well in the last few days. Contract is like, what have you bound yourself to that may no longer fit or resonate for you? So contract, it's a beautiful time with all of these planets in Aries and they're all moving in the correct direction, it's time to start evaluating your contract and actually cutting away anything that is not for you. Or on the flip side, if you have contracts that you need to actually be taking care of, that's important to evaluate now as well. Calling upon your guidance, your intuition with Archangel Uriel, that's your crown, that's purple, divinity, right? It's your divine spiritual knowledge, and seeing who around you has been envious and who has been projecting their shit on you. Like, stop letting people keep you in guilt and shame when that's their own party and blame. All right? So patience in reverse and contract. It's time to reevaluate your contracts and start speaking up for yourself. Start saying no when you have to. All righty? Whew. I don't know if anybody else is feeling it. I'm feeling hot. I'm feeling fired, right? Because we've been out of balance for too long. That yin-yang energy, except it's in reverse. It's saying this has been unfair for too long, and now it's time to balance those scales. So in Aries season, the contralateral sign is Libra. So we have to recognize, while we're in Aries season, where have we been imbalanced in those things that are fair or unfair? So it's time to start recognizing, it's time to start taking back your power. Hello, hello, Mercy. I'm doing collective energy reads, so if you're coming in, you like my vibe, like, comment, share. If you want an actual read, like you want to ask questions, that's a paid reading. It's $20 through my Cash App. So we're recognizing these contracts that we've been in, they've been keeping us out of balance, right? And patience in reverse, this is finally, especially with everything in Aries right now, 7 of those planetary bodies are in Aries. So it's saying your time for patience is no longer, right? It's time to take action. It's time to be fiery. Anybody know and love or be personally victimized by an Aries? Like, I'm mother to an Aries child. Like, my Aries birthday is today. And I'm like, girl, I love you, but we're going to have to form like a fan club of people that have been personally victimized by Aries. But they jump in head first. Like, they jump first, think later, God love them. And a lot of times they do have to ask for forgiveness versus permission, yet recognizing, okay, where have you been limiting yourself? And it really is self-limitation. I'm going to tell you, you're way more powerful and divine than you realize. So, before I go flipping, wake up. It's time to recognize who the fuck you are and who you aren't and start moving like that. Alrighty? Let's see. What else? Deja vu and lucid dreams. So your lucid dreamings and deja vu are trying to point you to the way that you've been here. You've done this before. Right? None of this is new, but you can also tap into the experience, the knowledge of what you've gained from this before. So lucid dreaming and deja vu is asking you, okay, if this is a recurring theme or a recurring dream that's coming up, it's time to take a look at it. We do, like I say, we have patience and yin and yang, and they're both in imbalance. They're both reversed, and we have contract and envy. So it's like reevaluating those around us who took our patience for granted, right? They thought your softness was weakness, not realizing it's very disciplined to keep yourself peaceful when everything is chaos. All right, so recognizing, wake up. It's time to wake up from the illusions, from the dreaminess, and remain calm at this time. They want to catch you slipping. They want you to act out of character, or they want you to act in character, whichever it is. That's the part that I've learned as well, is that when people are looking, like, I have certain people who are aggressors and oppressors in my life, and they want me to act out. So when I feel that, I'm like, ooh, instead of feeding into what they're truly wanting, which is anger or sadness, I'm going to stay calm, because it takes away all their fuel to their fire. So remain calm at this time. You've done this before, especially with lucid dreams and deja vu. This is that feeling of like, repeat, break the cycle today or repeat the loop tomorrow. Okay, so when you catch yourself in that lucid dream or you catch yourself in that deja vu, ask what this situation is trying to teach you, right? Because you've been here before. You've done this before. It's time, though, to choose a different pattern. That's the beauty of it. When you recognize the pattern, you now have the ability to change the results going forward. Hey, Arnold. How are you? So deja vu, lucid dreaming, we've done this before. Tap into that knowledge and like see the pattern and actually choose differently. That's the beauty of it. When it comes up, it's like, okay, wait. And with Remind Calm at this time, it's taking that breath and recognizing before we react, we actually need to take a breath. Hello, thank you for the heart me. I wish I could say I was chilling. I have no, like, people see me and they think I'm peaceful, and I'm like, I actually have zero chill. I'm very high strung. I'm very control freak. The last few years have taught me so much to let go of control. Like, you know, when they say, Jesus, take the wheel, and I'm, again, not very good at giving up control. Yet sometimes, and this happened even when my mom passed 2 years ago. I was like, I knew that I couldn't handle the forgiveness aspect, because somebody was like, you need to forgive her. And I was like, you have no idea what the fuck she did to me. So instead, I gave it up to the divine. I said, hey, I realize that this is above my pay grade. I can't handle it. And I gave it up to the ancestors. I gave it up to the divine. Where that it turned out beautifully, though, was because I was sending my mother, even though we had a very hard relationship and we were no contact, I was sending her love and healing angelic energy the last day before she passed. Whereas the family actually, like my family actually, my mom, she's very upset about that. But my family actually helped her along to her demise, and I was the only one who was actually like sending her love and trying to help her find that peace and comfort, which was so twisted in a lot of ways for me, because it was like, here's someone who had completely destroyed my life, and yet showing her grace and compassion in the end, where everyone else that loved her was actually trying to end her, was such a humbling and miraculous experience. And I've actually helped someone, when their own mom passed that she had heart feelings for, and it worked out so beautifully for her. So it's recognizing we are not always in control. So when we aren't in control, we give it up to God. We say, you know what, Jesus, take the wheel. I'm going to put my AirPods in. I'm going to watch outside the window as it goes by, and I'm going to let someone else drive the bus for a little bit. And the illusion is that we can't control shit. We can influence, yet nothing is truly in our control. Our hair is a reminder of that, right? As much as people try to fuss, fight, complain about their hair, you can't control it. You can influence it, but it's a reminder daily that, hey, just chill. If it's a bad hair day, if it's a bad moment, then put a hat on, right? Hello, Scorpio. All right, let's see what else we need to know from this deck. I'm Lara Jo. I've been a very busy bee today in the last few days. Ancient Egyptian ancestors. You hear the pyramids calling, especially if you have identification. Like, I did not realize how relevant ancient Egypt and even cats were to my life, because, and that's the other part, is the cultures that truly venerate and honor cats. Those are good, right? So ancient Egyptian ancestry, it's time. It's time to tap in, because Egyptians, same. So Arnold, and like I say, you have such weird synchronicities, because Arnold was my last name, and that's how a lot of us were addressed, because my ex-husband was military, so we hear Arnold and we're like, oh, shit, that's us, roll call. So you and I do feel, have a lot of ties. Savita, I'm doing a collective read, baby. If I feel called to answer, I will. If it comes out, I will. But other than that, it's collective, baby. Answering questions, those are paid, right? So if you truly want to know, then that's paying for my time, my energy. Other than, yes. Oh my gosh. And you and I are in the same age range. So there's so many things around childhood that were so big to me. Like, I'm just going to run through them really quick. Conservation of the earth was a huge thing when I was a child, which was so foreign because my family had no freaking idea. But like, I would see like a water, like a faucet dripping, and I'd be like, we have to fix that. Like, we're destroying the earth. Egypt and Tutankhamun and the pyramids, also Titanic for me. And that's the other part I've realized, and especially because where we live is Atlanta. I'm like, oh shit, I've also got ties to like Atlantis. So I'm like, okay, like if it feels like I'm super watery and deep sometimes, that's because we've also got Atlantis in there. So Titanic, Atlantis, Egyptian, Mars as well. Mars was very big when we were young, and it very, maybe not for you, but for me it was like Mars, Egypt, Tutankhamun, the pyramids. And then remember when the Mummy came out when we were probably teens? Probably around there. So ancient Egyptian, it's been coming up to us. Also, the Masons have huge interest in Egypt. So that makes me realize that everything that they tried to hide from us and keep for themselves, those are the things we need to go exploring. Hello, hello. All right, Sapita, thank you. Somebody had actually told me I need to do ASMR, and I did like my own little, oh my gosh, last night, because it's rewiring our subconscious. So last night I did like my own little mini ASMR so that it was on loop while I was doing a breathwork meditation and falling asleep. So ASMR may be coming. But guys, I really, like, I'm not trying to, I'm Earth Angel, right? And I speak in light codes. And I move in light codes. So if you come in, you're like, oh gosh, no, that really is the voice of the divine. And it's also through Metatron, right? Like I channel a lot of Metatron and messages, and people will be like, you have such divine knowledge. I'm like, yeah, because this comes from Metatron and the Akashic Records. So recognizing when you come upon divinity, sit and chill out, right? So let's see what else we need. And I can also be a devil too, right? And I'm respected by angels and protected by demons. So, you know, I've got a weird little role. And if you guys want to find out about your weird little role, let's talk about it. Okay, dream messages. We're getting those dream messages, right? So we're recognizing. And if you do not have one, if you are a lucid dreamer like me or an astral traveler, my suggestion, and I had a dream last night, I had like a really bizarro dream, but I'm also, no, this tracks. So dream messages, if you want to know your dreams, or if you need messages from the divine, my suggestion, I'm going to but keep a journal. Yeah. Keep a journal by you so that when you wake up, you can start writing your channels. So Arnold, I don't know about you, I'm a huge lucid dreamer, and I've dreamt in prophecy. Like, that's the part of it. 2 of my kitties, my first kitties that came to join my house, were from a prophetic dream off of a very magical night. If you want to know how I get into the weirdest situations, let's talk about this. The night I had a prophetic dream, and it was my very first that I can really recognize. I had missed plans, which seemed disappointing, but then I made plans with someone else. So we show up, and I'm wearing like a white crushed velvet, sexy little dress. And we're in the South, right? And we're pulling up, and I'm like, with my friend, which when my friend pulled up, and there's a weird sitch there, but when she pulled up, I was like, hey, am I going to get crucified for wearing white after Labor Day? Because this was at the end of September. And I'm like, I don't know etiquette because I wasn't raised with that type of culture, and, you know, we're in the Deep South. She's like, no, I think you're fine. So we show up to a wedding. Like, she was just like, oh, it's a garden. We're going to show up, you know, like, we're going to check it out after it was damaged by a tornado, which that tornado came with us, along with a bunch of other natural disasters. That tornado had destroyed the gardens. We went to go to like a reopening. Well, come to find out, it was a wedding vendor and venue, like, preview. So here we are. She had lost her husband in January, and I was going through a nasty ass divorce, and we show up to this wedding vendor preview. I'm feeling awkward as hell. May all sacrifices of children be exposed so that those babies can find freedom. And that's a lot of what I do as well. I know I just dropped out there for a minute, but so we show up to this wedding venue. I just bought that dress that day for like $3. It wasn't even $3. The whole experience cost me $40 because it was $3 for the dress, and then I think like $40 by the end of the night for drinks and dinner at another place. So $40 magical event, going through some of the hardest times of my life. So we walk in, and there's this violin player, and I actually have video of it, and I just posted remnants of it the other day, where we sat down on a settee, and he was playing to me, like playing violin. It was just like one of those magical nights, and it cost $40. I'm like, it doesn't take a lot to impress me. It just takes a little bit of magic. So recognizing you too can be wooed by the universe on on like a tiny little budget. Like, this is what I love about being a Libra. I can be a baller, or I can be bougie, or I can be budget, but I make it happen magically and naturally. People also hate me because they're like, oh, you make everything look so easy. I'm like, that shit's hard. Please ask me if I need help, because that wasn't really as easy as you all thought it was. But that night, and my ex-husband, we were still cohabitating at the time, he was very pissed off, and I was just like, you're not the only melanated violin player that likes to serenade me. Because that guy also played one of the songs that my ex plays, and the song that my ex plays, I'm like, that's one that I'm pretty sure he taps into a different realm, because he plays it so, it's one that he doesn't freak out about. Like, he's very perfectionist, but that's a song that he plays, like, it's just, it flows out of him. And like I say, that other dude played it, and I was like, this is such a weird, surreal experience. The universe really do be punking us. The other experience, so Arnold, today I'm going to say this, I was reading, I'm not like a huge religious, but I do I use things as reference. So I was reading Psalms this morning, right? Because I'm in the middle of doing a blockbuster, and I was reading Psalms this morning, the one that was attached to that blockbuster. And as soon as I looked, something caught me out of the eye when I looked up, and there was this gigantic for them, but there was this huge hawk that was sitting on the branch right outside my window, and right when I finished reading Psalms, it took off from that branch and flew off. And I was like, well, for me, hawks are Scorpio. I was like, wow. And then we also in the moment, had some other song references, like My Heart Will Go On, and I Can Buy Myself Flowers. And I was like, okay, universe, I hear you being sassy as fuck, but I love you. Please keep bringing it, right? Life is weird, but if you're willing to play, have fun, and move through the mess, you can have some really cool, magical experiences. And a hard day doesn't mean it's a hard life. It just means it was a freaking hard day. All right? So a lot of what right now is going on, even within the collective, is that reframing of the thoughts that we used to hold on to, right? We're watching the structures, the institutions collapse under the weight of their own corruption, and recognizing, being able to see it, but also being willing to have fun and laugh when it all goes up in flames, right? It's probably another reason why people don't love me, is because I can have very minimal, and they can have all of the things, and I can find success, happiness, and the silver lining even when I have nothing. And they can't seem to do that with everything. So, laugh at the haters. Make a if all you have is some little scraps of lunch meat and cheese and some crackers, then that's just a little charcuterie board, right? We're just doing hors d'oeuvres today. Hopefully all that makes sense. But finding the silver lining, even when things are... Okay. Adjacent possibilities. Can spirit speak any more loudly? It's recognizing when it all falls apart, that opens the door for other avenues. All right, number 24, if that resonates for you. And quantum math isn't addition and subtraction. It's multiplication and division. So I laugh. I feel a piece that a lot of people are missing when they're looking at quantum math. If you're adding, that's great, but that's like child's arithmetic. When you start multiplying, right, when you start looking at certain numbers and you're like, no, I'm going to find the greater meaning, let's use multiplication, you start seeing bigger pictures. And that's mom math too. We don't normally add and subtract, we multiply and divide. All right, let's see what else this deck has to say to me. Thank you, Arnold, as always, for showing up and making our live. It's always great and appreciated. It does definitely feel like it comes from Metatron and the Angelics when you show, baby. I've been thinking about you the last few days, but I've been in a really hard and dark place. And that's the other, I find like there will be periods where it's like, it's very dark and gloomy, but it's a rest moment so that we can make room for that huge opening, right? Hello, Judy. So we're doing collective energy, and I'm just talking about random spiritual experiences. If you guys ever want to hear about spiritual experiences, I have a million. Judy, I'm really hungry, but I'm showing up. I'm working on it. I've been doing a lot of workings and shadow work, right? And resolving issues. Like I had this huge epiphany the other day. Yeah. And that's also Arnold, like we all had kind of, I feel, a little slowdown, like bottleneck, because we had to sit the fuck down and actually realize what we're working with and what we're playing with and what we're capable of. So I've been doing a lot of shadow work, research, playing. I've done a lot of workings this weekend and today. It's a little bit of a challenge because Friday I had a disagreement with my kiddo, and I just was like, fucking no contact. I was like, you've really pissed me off. Today though, and I was debating because today's her birthday, and I was debating, like, do I wish her a happy birthday? And I did, even though it felt kind of, because I'm like, I don't know, like, that's that part. I'm gonna be vulnerable and honest for a minute. It's that, like, do I stay or do I go? Like, my kids were my fucking everything, but the way everything's worked out, it's like I had to go no contact for my own sanity. And two epiphanies that I had on Friday after that no contact point was I don't want to give energy to someone that prioritizes the comfort of themselves and my abuser over my own basic needs, right? She's over there like giving me such a hard time, and when I feel away, she just cuts me off, and I'm like, you know what? Like, no, you care more about me shutting the fuck up about my lived experience, which is very hard right now, than actually doing the right thing. And then number two, and this is kind of the really hard one. Last week was break, and normally the buses would run, but I found myself like in the afternoons waiting, because the sun at the top of the hill is very nice in the afternoon. There comes a certain point where the sun, you can only get some sun up at the top. But I recognize, I'm like, why am I sitting here? Because it feels like I'm waiting for the bus. Like I'm waiting. And even when my kids left and my dog and I would go for a walk, like he would wait for, like he would hear the bus go by and he would wait to see if the kids were going to get off. And I'm like, why? It's time to close the chapter on waiting for a family that doesn't actually acknowledge me, acknowledge my pain, acknowledge my sacrifice, and isn't actually going to show up. So it's been like a very painful weekend and also like a very eye-opening weekend. Yet I'm still in that conundrum. Like I am a Libra, so I always try to make everything fair and balanced. Yet they didn't make it balanced or fair for me. Like, why do I keep opening the door for people that don't actually see or acknowledge me? Right? I built that whole life, and then they stole stole everything I worked, right? And it's like, how are you going to kick me out of the life that I built and then say I'm the asshole? Like, that's not how this shit works. Yeah. And that's, I think the other challenge is because people from my past, when they hear like I'm no contact with my kids or things are so hard, and they're like, you love your kids, like what's wrong with you and what's going on? And I was like, I do love my kids, and I can't tell you how much this breaks me apart that I don't get to see my kids, I don't get to spend time with my kids, and that everything's contentious, right? I'm going to take a drink of water because I need to ground. That was a lot of... And with everything in Aries, I don't know about anybody else, I feel very ragey and anger-filled. And with 7 planets in Aries, it kind of makes sense. We're about to start telling people, like... So, Arnold, I do love this because you're a cardinal, I'm a cardinal. Even my kid that I have slight beef with is a cardinal. So it's that whole, we are coming to the point with everything in Aries, which is a cardinal sign, we're going to start telling people, no, you have stepped on our toes and you can't keep doing this. Right? So Tanika, I share my story, but I don't have anyone, nor do I lean on others. What I need right now is really financial support. Like, that's the biggest part, because I am one woman with 7 animals and I'm about to be homeless. But right now I can't even afford to feed myself. Like, I am so, because of everything that's gone on, all the ways that I've been drained, financially, like, I can't even afford to eat right now. And that's the very big challenging part, is that I'm in starvation mode. Like, I am very scared for what happens in the next 2 weeks. And I don't like to speak on fear. And it's not that it isn't there, but it's that whole, like, I don't like to speak on fear, but it is a reality. And also, closed mouths don't get fed. If we don't open up and speak about what's going on, then we don't have any resolution. So I've started opening my mouth and speaking on what I need, whether people want to hear it or not. Just like with the truth, when it all comes out, closed mouths don't get fed, right? And that's one of the things as an air sign. My words are my power, which also, sword is an anagram for words. Our words cut deep because they are our sword. It's our truth, right? So Tanika, what I can ask though is, if you know anyone that would benefit from coming to sit and have a reading or healing with me, or that's anyone that can help or donate, please pass along my information, right? A lot of it is word of mouth. That's how that's the best way, is word of mouth. You come and you sit and you're like, oh, okay, well, maybe I can't, but I do know someone that can. And that's how we make that team work, dream work, right? It's, who do you know that, who do you know? Who do they know? Kind of a deal. So, get my name out there far and wide. Let's get out there. Okay, broken heart. So it's recognizing, where have we had a broken heart and where did we break our own heart, right? For me, broken heart is that whole, I put too much faith in people that proved time and time again that they were not worthy of faith and that were faithless people, right? Like, I think about my ex-husband, and he doesn't believe in God, and he definitely doesn't believe in me. So he doesn't also believe that there's repercussions to his actions. So he's just out there acting horrifying and thinking that he's above God, he's above the law, he's above everything. And it's that whole, like, I put too much faith in someone that didn't have faith in anything, not including themselves. So broken heart is recognizing, okay, where have we let ourselves down? Where do we need to sit with ourselves and honor that space within us? Because we can't make them act right, but we can love ourselves enough to remove ourselves and be around people that do act right. And even if that's just ourselves, that's even with reparenting the inner child. Let's talk about this, right? Because your mom and dad failed you as a kid, and you can't ask for a better mom or dad, but what you can do is be a safe mother and father to your own heart. Make sure that you are being a good shepherd over your own life and recognizing, if this person isn't good for you, you need to cut them out. So this is like reparenting the mother, is that whole like nurturing, providing that safe space for yourself, whether you're masculine or feminine. And nurturing the father is knowing when to cut off bullshit, right? Knowing when to say it's enough is enough. Because we all know dad, where it's like, oh, dad said no, that's it. Well, we have to be, even if we didn't have safe parents, we have to be the safe parent to ourselves. So it's recognizing what your limits are and when you can say no to yourself and when you can also nurture yourself. Like I used to, and that's also, I carried so much anger and shame because the people that were supposed to protect me were the very people that damaged me the most. Like my mom knew I was being SA'd and she wanted me to die. And that was a very everybody that said that they loved me and that they cared and they were concerned were actually the very people that were sent to destroy me. And recognizing, well, I can't go back and fix her. I can, however, say to myself now as an adult, that wasn't right. That wasn't love. And I can do better for me. Yeah. And that's recognizing the pattern, right? That's where people, because recognizing there's a problem is half the battle, because once you recognize that there's a problem, then you can start fixing it. You can stop the loop. And so many people just want to be like, oh, it is what it is. No, you can actually see it. Yeah. Well, and so here's the other challenge, Tanika, and we're seeing it happening on the grand scale, right, on a bigger scale, is that they silence, suppress, and make the survivors disappear. So the challenge is, not only did that horrible, egregious thing happen to me by my family's hand, because my first abusers were the very people within my own home. And again, there were some very times that they left me so they wanted me to die. And then now they're still suppressing me, and they use the legal and the judicial system to do it. They use my kids. They use anything that they can to make me shut the fuck up. And living is hard, because it's like, will I ever see justice? And this is the other challenge. My ex-husband has control of my kids, not righteously, right? He paid off some corrupt-ass judges and lawyers. He sends them to the very people that destroyed me. So it's like I've told him time and time again, do not send them to my family. My family is filled with people that unalive people for money. It's filled with people that essay children. It's filled with all of this, and he still keeps sending them. Even when one of my daughters says, hey, Dad, like, Mom actually has a point. Mom is telling the truth on this. Like, he still doesn't care, believe, or whatever. I don't know what it is, but... and also, as that one and I have talked about it, she's seen the signs and the symptoms in her sister after being in Arizona. She sees, like, things are happening while they're there. And it's so, as a mom, that's the other frustration and disempowering part, is the very monsters that have destroyed my life are still in control of my life, and I want more than anything to get them out and to find peace and to protect my babies. Anywho, it's a conundrum, really, because again, as much as I want to go no contact and cut all the way off, I also worry about their safety, their mental health safety, and everything. Like, my one baby had been hospitalized 7 times in 6 months for ideation and self-harm, and she is in the very same care of the person that helped perpetuate the problem. Because that was the other thing that I had to say to him, right? Because I was like, if your life is great and everyone around you is struggling mentally and has to be medicated and has to be in therapy, you might be the puppet master of everyone else's pain. Like, please, because, and how many times I went to therapy and I would talk about the very people that had damaged and destroyed me. I was like, the very people, like, I'm in therapy for the very people that should have been in therapy. The very people that should they should be behind bars because of their egregious acts of destruction to innocence. That's the other thing that I find with my family. I'm so angry because it's like they stole parts of me that I can never get back. They stole my innocence. They stole the innocence of my kids. And they continue to be able to get away with it. So I've been doing recently a lot of like justice workings and return to sender, and even to the institutions, right? Because it's like these institutions continue to perpetuate our misery, our pain, to keep us enslaved. And it's time for them to fall. I've been talking about that for a very long time, and it's happening. We're all seeing it. The divine feminine rise is coming, right? But at the same time, it's like making sure we get to see it. As much as I want to check out, guys, because I really do want to check out, we are in pivotal times. Yes, we are in pivotal times. So it's that whole... kind of like, my fear is if I were to bounce out now, I would have FOMO, because I'd be like, I should have just held on a little bit longer. And this part, even when you want to go, if you are still contracted to be here, your ancestral team will not let you go. So that's the other challenge. I wanted to check out since that huge bulk of abuse happened, because it happened when I was little. But when that huge bulk happened, and I've carried chronic pain every day since I was 7 years old. I've battled headaches every day of my life since I was 7 years old. So we're talking about 36 years of headaches. Can't even tell you how many times, like, I never wanted to make it because it was always so painful. Yet the ancestors said, no, girl, we need you, right? Death has bounced me back in. Like, that's the part of it, guys. Some of us have contracts with death where death actually has to keep us safe, right? Death will come knock on our door and he's like, whoa, 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 whoa. You, my friend, have a purpose. That's why I talk about I am respected by angelics and protected by the demonics, right? Because I have a bigger mission here. And also recognizing, guys, before you want to throw yourself on the floor and cry about some dusty, crusty ass boy or girl, you've got a bigger mission than that, right? And remember how, Arnold, when I put in your comment, I'm like, you can't spell evolution or revolution without love. It's the main component. That's the other, okay, so as a Queen of Swords, words are my power. So I love the word play. That's always how we recognize spelling. If you know an air sign, our magical tool is in our voice, right? And we're using that for good. And let's talk about this for a minute, because I don't know why I want to, but we're going to. So your bottom three chakras, right? Your root, your sacral, your solar, those are earthbound, right? Your root is how you connect. That's rage. That's survival. Your sacral is your sexual or your sacred knowledge. Your solar plexus is your identification. So most people are just stuck in their root, right? They're just fight, flight, or freeze their whole entire life. Like, it's like kill, thrill, and destroy. Sacral is where we go to release our deep-seated trauma. And that's the other, when you see people that have all of that weight around their midsection, that's deep-seated trauma, right? But that's our sexual creativity. That's our divinity right there. So when you start releasing that, you start moving up in the chain. So then your solar plexus, that's your identity. That's how you show up. That's your sunshine, your own internal personal sunshine, and how you radiate to the world. If you have blocked solar plexus, you'll experience a lot of GI issues, right? Because you're not able to clearly express your divine blueprint. So you'll have a lot of GI or stomach issues. Your heart, let's just drop this real quick. And as a Libra, our heart, that's the chakra that rules Libra, is our heart. Because that's the earth gate. That's the fourth channel, right? When you start moving from a heart center, then you unlock your throat, which is your speaking power, right? That's divinity. We speak our sword of truth. So your throat, and your next is your third eye. So again, as you heal, as you move up, right, you start gaining deeper knowledge. So your third eye is your pineal gland. Pineal gland is pine cone. It does not open unless you have the correct conditions. Think of pine cones in life, because we mirror nature, right? So everything is a reflection of us, and we learn from all of it. But your pine cone, that's your intuition. That's your divinity. Every species on this planet has a pineal gland, except for, I think there's like 2. Like the jellyfish don't have a pineal gland. If you see them floating around, that's just by coincidence with giraffes. But everything else has a pineal gland. Why? Because it drives us to what we need. When you stop acting in your root and you start moving from your third eye, you start changing your life, because you're moving out of intuition and not fear. Your crown. I know that was a lot. And guys, if you're with me, if you like my knowledge, please tip if you can afford to, right? Any little bit helps, and I'm in great need of food, right? I don't have the basic needs to take care of myself. So if you can help, please, if you find wisdom, even $5. I had somebody send me $5 one time as a tip because I answered a spiritual question for her, which ironically I emailed her today, because yesterday was her birthday. I wished her a happy birthday yesterday. And then I messaged her this morning. I was like, hey, for your birthday, I will do a free 15-minute read for you if you're interested. But she had shown me, it was like I had answered a spiritual question, and she just sent me $5 out of the blue. I was like, yes, like, tip your spiritual reader, right? Because we bring all of the knowledge. So crown is your divinity. It's your knowing. It's your spiritual knowledge, right? If you're anything like me, like, I actually went and did the shadow work. Like somebody over a few hundred years ago stole my crown, stole my divine knowledge, right? And it was that reintegration of that shadow and recognizing who stole it and why they stole it. That was a whole ass trip. Like, I can't wait till I can actually sit down, put down my spiritual experiences, because I have so many. But there was an experience where I recognized that my family and another party who was trying to be me, and there's so much more with that, because that chick that was trying to be me, that stole that, she came down with cancer. Once I caught wise and I started distancing myself, she came down with cancer. I was like, oh man. But they stole my divine knowledge, my crown, in a past lifetime. And I recognize now, I'm like, oh, okay, if I want my shit back, I have to start actually recognizing people, places, things for who they are and start claiming it, right? And when you see people trying to steal your path, know that they will not be able to, but they do have repercussions on their own side to deal with. And Arnold, that was another epiphany that I had, because one of my, and this was off of another prophetic dream. So actually that prophetic dream did come before the dream of the boys and that magical night. That did come a few months before that, but the lesson from it, which I've been pondering over for the last 3 years, the lesson from it actually came the other day, because I saw someone who I thought was a friend and who I love and respect deeply, and it was brought to my attention, like, no, she tried to do her own shit against you, because now she has cancer, she's losing her hair, she's very prideful about her hair. And and this is also how I know when people are in my energy doing fucked up things, because we'll have messed up situations that are similar, that I'm like, wait a second, why are we both going through this thing? Because, like, there was a spiritual business owner here who was having problems with a contractor in her subfloors, and then went to a particular lawyer at the same time, unbeknownst to any of them, because I wasn't a part of it, but I was having problems with my subfloors and a contractor, and I also went to that lawyer, but for child custody issues. And how I realized that he had both of us as clients was because her file was right out on his desk for everyone to see, and I was like, that's weird that all of these similarities, like all of these recurring themes are at the exact same time, is not a coincidence. So, pattern recognition, that's one of my strengths. So, yeah. All right. Let's get back into it. Let me take a little sip of water. I have like a anybody else, but I'm having, yeah. Well, and it's actually when the eye opens, I'm going to tell another story in a minute, because I'm on a karma roll, right? Like, I love to talk about karma, because people are like, oh, you shouldn't talk about karma. I'm like, no, I'm just observing how people did me fucking dirty, and then they got it on the back end, and that's their own goddamn problem. They should never have fucked with me. It was a whole group of people. It was a whole community. Like, that's the whole part. When everything's revealed and said and done, there's going to be whole communities behind me that fucked up, that are going to be in jail, locked up, pass away due to either their own injuries or self-deletus because of the shame. I'm like, guys, it didn't have to be this hard. We didn't have to be all like this. And there are certain people that I've learned the lesson of why I won't let shit slide. So let's talk about this for a moment. I had a friend who had taught me a little bit of sound stuff, and we had talked about collaborating together. And I had all of the things that we could have collaborated together, and I had broached her about it. Shit didn't feel quite right, but so here's the other part, and I learned this after the fact. She was a cheater. Like, she's fucked up her husband and her sons because of her cheating. And I also won't deal with cheaters, right? Like, as clients, as friends, as whatever, I'm like, if you cheat on your spouse, like, you're a low bottom bitch, male or female, because that's the person that you depend on for your safety, and that depends on you for safety. So if you are low enough, and that's also like a mafia principle, right? If you are low enough to snake the person that prepares your food, does your laundry, and raises your kids, like, what will you do to someone that isn't your love? So we had talked about this collaboration, and then I found out she was a cheater. And then I watched in public, this was the other part. In public, somebody approached her about working with them, but it was something that her and I had worked together on. And I watched her accept that deal, never say shit to me about it, because I was like, well, we could have come together, and like I say, I had all the tools. We could have made it, we could have made some real difference together. And I watched her accept it, and she never said anything. I was just like, because this is the part, even after her and I parted ways, when I found people in this area that could benefit from her services, I always pass along her number. Yet when she had the chance to incorporate something that we had talked about, she completely slid by me. So where I go with karma with this, because I don't sit around and be like, when are they getting their karma? I don't give a flying fuck. If I've written you off, I don't give a flying fuck. If you breathe, die, don't care. So as ironically, in the one that has cancer now, it was in her group, she had put in, like, the one that said, like, if you need prayers, you know, drop your prayers down below. And I just happened to be in the group, and I was, like, reading through. And I had found out that this friend had had a stroke, lost her vision, unable to drive. Yep. So this was that whole, because she turned a blind eye to the damage, the destruction, the pain that she was causing, she lost her vision. So I'm just like, guys, karma doesn't fucking miss. And the way that it delivers through is very tailored. That's also when I see people who have physical ailments, because I come from the medical background, right? So a lot of it, when I see what their ailments are, I typically can give you like a breakdown, like, okay, what is it? What is the issue? How are you, how do we get past this? And I saw, like I say, she's like, oh, pray for my vision. And people are like, oh, I feel so bad for you. And that was also a teaching moment for me and for others around, is be careful who you pray for their wellness, because the same person that has an ailment that you pray for may be the one that tries to ruin your life, steal your husband, and destroy your family. So everybody doesn't deserve prayer and healing. And I don't mean to say that as a nasty way, but she wanted to blindly have people feel bad for her and pray for her. And I'm like, no, bitch, she was a lying, cheating, thieving, horrifying person, and she lost something that mattered greatly to her. The other challenge is that her youngest son, and my middle kid were actually in classes together at one point. I was just like, this is horrifying and sad, yet, yeah. No, we're all living through our karma, but it's, do you step up and be a better person, or do you keep clinging to shitty old ways because you're too scared, right? And people want to tell me all the time, like, I'm too scared to do the right thing. I'm like, do you not think I was terrified to do the right thing either, or speak on anything, or even exercise my gifts, right? Like, I do this shit scared. I can't even tell you, like, when I first started coming on live, because my family they've come into my live, they've come onto my posts, they've said and done and been horrible and nasty and driven business away from me. And I'm like, this is terrifying, but I still show up even when I'm scared. Even when I'm starving, I still show up. So people saying, oh, I'm too scared, fuck you. You have no excuse. And that's the other part. I've overcome so many things that other people want to be like, oh, it's too hard. I'm like, really? Oh, okay. No, you're just weak. I talk about addiction. Addiction is a very impossible thing, yet I have overcome alcohol addiction, right? I spent from 13 to 40 drinking. So when people say, oh, I can't beat addiction, no, you're a bullshit liar, because if I did it, and like I said, oh, I'm so sorry, Abel, I didn't do it with help. I didn't have rehab. I didn't have support. Nobody told me. I literally mentally walked myself out of addiction. So when people want to say, oh, it's too hard, no, fuck you. If I can do it, you can do it. You're just being a weak little bitch. I know that's harsh to say, but people want to say, poor me, I'm the victim, blah, 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 blah. No, you just choose to live in self-deprecation and pity. And that's a you problem, not a me problem. I was thinking about that yesterday too, because like I'm having blocks, but then I'm like, okay, so here was another block I'm going to talk about. I've struggled with my weight my whole life. I had always been a chunky girl, but now I recognize like I kept that weight on for trauma purposes, because if I made myself unattractive, then it would draw attention away from me. And I had family members that were predatory in nature, so it was like keeping the mask on was like they were less likely to abuse me because they had such a high standard of beauty even though they didn't match it, right? And B, I was married to a very jealous husband. So it wasn't safe to be beautiful. It wasn't safe to be thin. It wasn't safe to be attractive, because unwanted attention meant that I got punished. So I've struggled with my weight my whole life. And this was another part, was that, because again, I was in a loop yesterday. I was like, bitch, you've overcome addiction just through mental, right? Like, you have mentally overcome addiction. You have mentally overcome depression. Like, you have talked yourself off the ledge so many times. So why do you think you can't talk yourself into or out of whatever this situation is that you have going on? So where I talk about it being mental, like, I've struggled with weight my whole life, right? And I've lost a certain amount of weight, but then I said I still wanted to be this certain weight. And because my mind said I want it, and then I spoke it out, I became that weight. So it's recognizing your power, your words carry power, and what you determine that you will have happen will have happen. Now, mind you, when I had done the whole weight thing, right, and I've done it again since then, right, I said at one point, like when I moved in, before I moved into this house, because I was like 160, right, and I didn't do anything to change my, like I didn't work out, I didn't eat right, which when the finances are right, like I do definitely want to start working out and eating better. Right now I eat what I can afford financially, and I don't have the energy or the resources to work out. I don't have the energy because I don't have the food. That being said, before I moved into this house, I said I want to be 140. And didn't try, just, it was like a passing thought, and then I 140 and I maintained it. And then after that, I was like, I want to be 120. And it happened. So when you start proclaiming things, and that's the other part, guys, when you say you want something, it will become a reality. It's not overnight, right? And again, so many things that I've spoken, and then that's also what scares me. Let's talk about this. I have a reputation for being an overachiever in everything that I do. So what scares me, and I do things automatically, and then I forget that I did it. So like, you know, when manifestations start hitting, and they do, I forget that I manifest that. And then I'm like, oh shit, I did do that. And then I'm scared because I'm like, what else did I manifest? What else is coming? Like, so recognizing you have the power to change your life, but you have to be willing to change your mind first, and to go along with all of the bumps, bruises, scrapes that it takes for you to grow, expand, learn, and become a different version. And I'll say this, while I may be smaller in physicality, I also stand taller. And I know in the spiritual realm, I'm probably like 6, 7, 8 feet tall, right? So it's recognizing, like, stand tall, because even though you may be in this tiny little vessel, your aura is so much bigger. And Arnold, remember when I was talking about, like, my ex-husband and my lawyer, right? And they're both two very narcissistic, powerful men, right? And they have to be. I talk about, like, my ex-husband's egotistical, but he has to be. He literally does hold a shit ton of human lives in his hand on the regular. So he has to be in command. He has to be in authority. But I can't even tell you how many men, like doctors that I've worked with, doctors that have been patients of, like I say, my ex-husband, lawyer, that when I'm on a path, I'm on a mission, you can literally watch them like part like the Red Sea, like jump out of the way. So it's how we carry our aura, right? Because when I'm around men that want to push me into a wall and they want to be aggressive, I do become about 7 feet tall, energetically. And that's not to brag. That's just saying that, like, I may look teeny, but what protects me and what carries me is a lot bigger than me. Same for you guys. Giants are real. You are children of giants, right? We're all children of a bunch of different things, but... Okay. I'm going to say this because of how much my ex-husband tortured me and still tortures me. I love watching that, like watching him jump, because I'm like, you are such a tiny little man and you think that picking on a tiny woman, it makes you big and strong. That I love to see when you're scared, because you deserve it. That was as well. I was much younger and I had bigger brothers, and they used to tell me, like, pick on someone your own size, like, don't pick a fight with me. But I really need people to start recognizing it's not fair to pick on people that are smaller than you. That was the other thing. My brothers were so much bigger and older than me. They used to pick on me all the time. They used to do the most horrifying shit. And it's like, I wish I had had someone that could have wrecked them and checked them, because they should never have been doing all those things that they were doing with a very tiny little girl. So, with the big, huge bully men, I love to be like, energetically, I'm like, pick on someone your own size. Because while you think I'm an easy mark, that's a misnomer. I know how to fight. And guys, it is better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. So know how to fight. And if you see someone peaceful, that's not naivety. They're holding back a dragon that you don't want to encounter. When people come to disturb my peace, I'm like, if you disturb my peace because I fought so hard for it, I'm going to leave you in pieces. Don't go doing all that. Probably also why I identify with cats, because cats are like God's perfect little divine assassins, right? But they're in this tiny little body, and yeah, they scare off huge bears. So recognizing we all have defenses that we can utilize, you just gotta know. And get big and scary. Okay, carrying connections. It's time to start nurturing the love bonds, right? I know we had earlier broken heart. Carrying connections is recognizing you deserve love, and how do you start bringing that into yourself? And it's number 14. So today is 14. 14 is the Temperance card, very Sagittarius energy. Yeah. Yes, and that upsets me too, Arnold. Here's this very little challenging thing though. As a Libra, like, Libras bully the bullies. So I don't care, and I have gone off on men that are bigger than me, because I'm like, I don't normally get flustered and fluffy, but if you're gonna target people, if you're gonna target me, if you think that picking on me is a good decision, like, I will go toe to toe. Not because I think I'm invincible, like, goddamn, I've been trying to check out every day since I was a little kid due to the horrors, yet there comes a point where even the bully has to sit down and meet their match. I'm like, I am seeing like a particular situation where this guy, he tried to like gaslight me, and he was dangerous, but I literally stood toe to toe with him, and I'm like, you don't get to push me around and bully me. Like, you're dead fucking wrong, and you're loud and wrong. And then I cut him off. I like blocked him, went no contact. The scary thing is, he went around town after that. He was a business connection, mind you. He was a contractor. He was supposed to be a professional contractor doing a job for me, and he didn't do it. Completely unprofessional. Treated me like shit the whole entire time. Ripped me off. And then when I finally said, like, hey, you don't get to talk to me like that. You don't get to treat me like that. And then he's like, oh, I'll pray for you. I'm like, don't you do that. Don't you pray for me. But then we were no contact for 6 months. And he was going around town thinking he was in love with me, telling people that we were engaged. He pulled my picture off of Facebook and was showing people my picture like I was his woman. I was like, you have got to be the craziest motherfucker. And then when things, we reconnected, unfortunately, but lessons, right? I learned a lesson because he was very much like the archetype of my very first ever ex-husband, which is also kind of ironic because my first ex-husband was a Capricorn and he was a Cancer, so they're counter signs. And that little, when we actually were, he apologized, which he didn't really, but it was a reminder of my ex-husband and the lessons of that, and showing me that, hey, if I had stayed in that situation, what would have truly happened. So it was a beautiful life, and he was a past life contract. This dude here was a past life contract, and it was good for review for me. And it was a good reminder of like, hey, Lara, you're not the same girl you were when you were 23. And if you had stayed with him, this is what your life would have looked like long term. And there was a ton of other scary stuff that happened. But again, it was a beautiful reminder and closure to be like, okay, I never want to be around or experience this ever again. So we take the lessons and the blessings. And that dude was super scary. He totally freaking messed up my, like, not that he messed up my intuition, but there were so many times that I was like, if I do not move my feet right now, I'm going to die. So intuition is a beautiful intuition, because he also, with his mouth, oh, I'm a good guy, I never hurt you, blah, 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 blah. He went on to murder a woman after me. That was intended for me. And if I hadn't seen it and moved out of the way, it would have been me. So, guys, that's also a reminder. If you want to learn about past life contracts and connections, come talk to me, right? That's all work that we can do. I don't just do tarot readings. We go deeper. We see what the actual meanings are so that you don't keep getting stuck in that. Okay, so door to romance. We did have, and I know it came out earlier, but we had adjacent possibilities, broken heart, caring connections, and door to romance. It's recognizing once we clear that broken heart, we can start bringing in people that truly love us, that truly mean the world to us. So recognizing, okay, we had to experience the heartbreak so that when trueness comes in, we can be like, and I had that conversation with my kiddo. We've had it many a times over the years, but especially in the last few months. And then she had something happen. I was like, yeah, like, you didn't, when you had that heartbreak, because we watched people who had done us dirty bounce into a relationship and on paper appear happy, but then we've also watched them bounce and bounce and bounce and not truly be happy. Whereas her and I, like, we actually sat down, we did the work, we did the introspection, we did the shadow work, so that when that door to romance opened, we're actually going to bring in the partner that is truly like our kingdom or queendom spouse, however you want to look at it. Because I do believe in the matriarchy. Sorry, I don't know. Like, that's the part with, like, that men are going to have to realize when they approach me. I'm like, it's women-centered here. It's a queendom. Like, I love you, but treat me like a queen, and I will make you feel like a king, right? So, you know, she's like, well, everybody else has been dating in the last 3 months, or they've been in happy relationships. I'm like, hold on, chill. You know it isn't happy, and you've got to watch from their lessons, right? While you were out having fun, you were still flirting, you were still, you know, interacting with people, but it was recognizing that you didn't get the collateral damage because you didn't just rush into something broken. You actually sat down and you did your own little inner homework, just like with me. So it's that whole, when we do step into our relationship, and she's had this happen before, like, she's had this happen, and sometimes I think that's as well as that, like, I get my kids prepared so that they're settled, so that when it's my turn, everybody else is good and situated. So for her, it was like she had noticed how now she's actually finding someone who fits her beautifully. Like, they have like that, like, and ironically, he's a Cappy. So you've got an Aries and a Cappy, and then me being Libra, and out here just free balling it. So that was okay, like, she did the work, right? Because the guy before that she had gotten so stuck on was a Scorpio, like her daddy. But also, she tried to be me so much, and then was surprised when she was in a relationship with the same archetype and demon as me. I was like, you were being jealous and hating, and you wonder why you had to go through the lesson alongside me. Like, this is called staying in your own lane. Yeah. And that's the part, but most people don't want to learn. They just want to, oh, it's too hard, I don't want to learn, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I'm going to use this because I had to draw this out the other day, because I had so many people asking about what someone else is doing. I'm like, this is your lane, right? You stay in your lane. It doesn't matter what anyone else is doing because they're in their lane over here. And it may be a dirt path. That's kind of, I was drawing it backwards while I was on live. But when people say, oh, is he happier over there? This is your lane. If you're busy looking over here, you're going to miss your turn and your destination. You're going to crash all the way the fuck out. Because how many people have you seen that they'll go check someone's social media and then they go in the spiral? So that's also why I tell my clients a lot of times, like, focus on your journey, focus on your goal. Because if you're too busy focusing over here, you're going to miss your turn and end up off a path. So nobody likes to hear it. It's like also when somebody's like, oh, well, this person's doing this in school and this and this and this. I'm like, this is your lane. You focus on you. If they bounce into your lane, then you do what you need to do. Honk, flip them off, give them space, whatever. They'll hopefully move out of the way. And anyone attached to me, whether it be friends or family or love, are guarded by my guardians as well. I don't know, Arnold, if you felt any of that. Like when you and I connected, I don't know if you felt, probably because you talk about Metatron a lot, felt my guardians come on board with me. But that's that part when people get in my way. My guardians literally are like ludicrous. They're over there like, move, bitch, get out the way. So they bounce people. But recognizing, like, if you're doing your thing and you're staying in your lane and you've got your nose to the grindstone and you're working, you're going to be okay. You're going to get your destination. Yeah. And that's as well. Like, sometimes distractions are needed, though. Right? Because that goes back to the lesson learning is that, like, think of, like, the coyote trickster spirit. Sometimes we need that to be able to know how to shapeshift. Right? Here's this part. Because I'm a huge alchemist. Right? So you can't give me a hard time without me taking it back, deconstructing it, and figuring out how to use every crumb from it to make it my bitch. Right? So people want to say, like, oh, like, this is going to hurt you. No, the fuck it isn't. I laughed my ass off. Right? Yeah. That's like when they did, okay, so when they did the alchemy, oh my gosh. Let's talk about alchemy for a second, because if you want to know how to take something that feels like shit and turn it into a victory, let's talk about it. So I talk about how my ex-husband, my lawyer, his lawyer, and the judge all did a public humiliation ritual on me, right? Cult coven-like style, brotherhood style. And I showed up to court looking like a whole fucking snack. And then the way that they came at me, it was embarrassing for them. So I'm like, and my ex was still bitter about it because he didn't get all of his needs met, which was bullshit. But it was like, so not only did I show up looking gorgeous and making a whole bunch of grown-ass men look stupid as fuck. Like, they did it because I didn't realize it at the time. I realized it after the fact. That's the part of it, guys. People throw so much shit at me, but then I recognize what it is, and then I can help either make sense of it, navigate it, or help others. But when they did that humiliation ritual on me, I was like, that was the intention. They were trying to make me feel shameful and guilty and blah, 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 blah. But I was like, you guys looked like fucking idiots. And I know it touched a nerve because, like I say, my ex-husband was bitter about it months later because he made a snarky passing comment about something in our court proceedings. I was like, do you not recognize how evil and vindictive you are, but how... Because I, like, that was the other... My boyfriend at the time, this was the funny... Because I didn't really talk about my relationship at the time, which I believe that boyfriend was actually paid to date me. Him and his family were paid to date me and distract me and ruin my life and my finances and fuck me over. Because he shares a birthday with my ex-husband's wife. So I was like, it's too coincidental that my partner at the time, who also came in during an Aries eclipse, has the same birthday of August 17th as my ex-husband's new wife. Like, the patternings are patterning. Yeah. So here's the part, Arnold, and I've been feeling it for a while, and other readers are saying, like, it's imminent, that the masculines are waking up, like, hardcore waking up to what the fuck they've done. So a lot of those masculines are realize that they are fallen, and that if they want actual happiness, they have to
get on board. Hey, Sammy, baby, can you send me your email, please? I would love to send you some books from a manifestation workbook for you. Because I know you had talked about leaving your job and starting. So I had thought about it because after you had contributed, I'm hungry. I'm really hungry. And Tag, if you want to send me your email too, what I'll do is I'll send you an email with some of those manifestation pages because you're both kind of in the same circuit of like rewriting the future, right? Doing the bold, scary thing that the rest of us have stepped out to do. That's the part. Okay, before all this, I was a career woman. I was not a tarot reader at all. Like, I was very scientific, medical based. So being in the spiritual realm and divinity is terrifying as hell. But it's also brought me a lot of like, okay, I would rather be doing this than squeezing boobs all day. Well, I was really good at being a mammographer and I was really good in the medical field. I feel like I touch people in different ways than I ever could have in that realm. So it is a wild ass ride. If you guys want to send me your emails, like message me and I'll send you some manifestation pages. Okay, babes? And Arnold, if you want to send me your email too, I can send you some pages. If you want shadow work or manifestation pages, let me know. Because I have both that I've kind of sent to people who have supported me. So how am I doing? I'm really hungry. I'm out here even just like trying to get a few dollars to get any kind of food because I'm real hungry. But anyway, so yes, this is the path though. We stay in our lane. We don't worry about what anybody else is doing. And that's also recognizing being, and I hate to say it, like when you, and I talked about this the other day. Let's actually talk about this. This is psychology. So say if you were to ski down a slope, right? And you tell your subconscious, oh God, Tag, were you in when I was talking about all of the mind over matter bullshit? Like how much I've actually like walked myself out of hard shit. And I had that conversation with myself last night. I was like, girl, you better get your shit together because you said you were going to be a certain weight and then you were. And you said this thing was going to happen and it did. So shut the fuck up and rewire your brain. But let's talk about it. So sometimes you really do have to be so focused on the end line. Think about it this way. If you're, I get that. I understand. We've all been going through some deep, especially with everything going on socially, we've been all going through deep recalibration, right? But if you were to ski down a hill, and this is the two different scenarios. If you were to ski down a hill and you keep your eye on the finish line, you'll miss the trees. If you were to ski down the hill and you're like, I hope I don't hit the tree, well, now your subconscious is going to bring all the trees up. I know this sounds weird, but think of horses when they have blinders on, right? They can't see their opponents, so they don't get distracted. So sometimes it's recognizing, okay, if I want to reach my goal, I have to not look at all of the obstacles, because if I say don't hit a tree, baby, you're going to hit every tree. But if you say I'm getting to the finish line, you will miss every tree because your brain will say that is not even an obstacle, right? When you start taking can't out of it, if you just say I'm solely focused on getting to my destination and not getting distracted, all of those distractions will, like tunnel vision, start blurring out. It's like when things blur out of your vision because you're like, no, I've got my focus here and not on all of this here. Being careful though, tunnel vision not going towards something. Like if you're tunnel vision and you feel in your soul it's not wrong, you also do have to know like, oh, wait a second. But it is recognizing your mind is a beautiful creator. And if you're too focused, pardon the confirmation burp, if you're too focused on all of the things that could go wrong, you aren't going to get to your destination. It's that like analysis paralysis too. When you're like, oh God, okay, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this. You will get frozen because you'll be like, there's so much. But sometimes it's that, okay, what is the next? And that's as well has happened with me a lot of times too. Sometimes when the big goal seems so far away, you say, I have this big goal, and you put a pin in it and you put it in the back of your mind. And then you start focusing on like the little, what can I, yes, thank you. You focus on okay, what's the next step? And that's been a lot of my path recently too. And this was something that when my ex-boyfriend was in my life, I had said, first it was faith over fear. right? I'm going to walk in faith. Like, even though I can't see, I know that every time I step out, the divine guides me and supports me and makes sure that my next step is aligned. I don't have to look down, because even if I can't see, I know that the ground is underneath me. That's the other part of it, is recognizing that those things that you thought were going to happen so horribly don't. It is beautiful manifestation. If you want to know about manifestation, I am a huge manifester, right? That's something I do. That's something I've always done. And I tend to be like an alchemizing manifestation, right? So I take the shitty things. That's the funny thing, because everybody tried to throw chaos at me. I'm like, I tend to be like a chaos witch. You throw shit at me, I'm going to make a shit sandwich that everybody's going to eat, right? Yeah. Yeah. And you know what I love about deers? Like, deers are sacred to me. They're totem animals. They show up on my, that's the sad thing about moving out of this property, is I'm going to miss seeing all of the wildlife that I've watched grow and expand and become different versions throughout our journey together. I had, last year especially, this beautiful deer family. And that's the other thing. When my kids are missing me or they need guidance from me, and I've watched this because my kids sent me a deer picture one day, and I don't know why this has hit me. But when I can't reach my kids or there's no communication, deer will show up to guide my kids. So it's recognizing that we are part of a whole beautiful interconnected system that supports us. Even when we're not around, we do have the support team there. Because like I say, when I'm not available, my kids will see deer, because they've sent me pictures of deer in their dad's complex. And they're like, yeah, this deer showed up. And it's like, oh, well, I was thinking about you. So, yeah. So, and I am a deer spirit. I birthed a deer drum. I talk about that wedding I initiated. Guys, if you find love in my collective, or you find love, I am an ordained minister. You need a magical wedding experience, I'm your girl, right? Because I talk about how I took my deer drum across the country to initiate a wedding. And right before the wedding, I had a family, I had 1 or 2 deer, I think it was 2. I had spotted them and I incorporated it into the wedding ceremony. But as the couple was walking up the aisle with the 2 kids, one shared and one from a previous, a family of 4 deer came up, right? The parents and 2 babies. So it was a beautiful reminder, again, of how we are all interconnected, and magic is waiting for you to observe it. Magic is waiting for you to observe it. Did everybody in the back hear that, right? I love when people think of the mundane over the magic. And I was like, no, you need to start seeing the magic in the mundane. Everything around us is magic. Even the things that feel routine and magical, the mundane is magic. Right? Stirring your coffee, you stir your coffee with intentions. You speak it over your coffee. That is magic. You can, and actually healing yourself. If you speak to your water and you say, thank you for the healing, thank you for the guidance, thank you for nourishing my souls. And also recognize that when you are, when you're releasing, right, when you pee, that's the purification process. So speak healing over your life, speak healing over your food, speak healing over your water. And recognize how it's a bigger tool than you realize. Yeah. And a lot of my clients last summer had a lot of deer encounters, including, let's talk about this. So the underworld deities and I have a very close relationship, right? So last summer I had clients and they would see deers, but I had a client who, she was trying to see the best in her husband, but her husband was not behaving well. And he got sideswiped by a very large deer, but they could never find it. And I said to her, I was like, that was the ancestral team. That was the underworld telling that dude to shape up or ship out. I go, and the next time it won't just be his car being fucked up. Like, he ain't walking away from it. But she tried to be like, oh no, he's so good, blah, 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 blah. I go, no, that was a warning from the ancestors. If he fucks around with you and your daughter again, he won't be walking it off. So that's, deer come also to pay karma to the ones that are fucking around where they shouldn't be with women and children. And Papa Legba is very protective. That's, you guys don't also, maybe you do realize, Hecate, Papa Legba, all of those deities that are considered demonized or underworld, those are all protectors of women and children. If you're having particular problems, Hecate would be a beautiful one. And if you identify with keys, anybody identify with Hecate? Anybody identify with Hecate, right? Because those are keys, right? She brings you keys because she's the protector of home. She's the protector of the pathways, the crossroads, right? So recognizing when they show up, they've got tools and messages for you. Yeah. And Sammy Jean, I love it because I recognize the beauty in the ugly, right? Like, I recognize the beauty in death and things that are chaotic or destructive. When I had vultures perching in my yard, I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. She kind of is. Arnold, do you have daughters? Because I feel like she probably watches over your daughters pretty freaking heavy. And yeah, she does kind of have the auntie vibe, like smoking a Pall Mall. I was curious if you had 2 and 2, if you had an even mix. Yeah. So I like Hecate for these kids. She's kind of over there like. I feel it. And that's also beautiful how we're all interconnected, because I was like, no, Hecate, I feel like she gives you like space and distance, but she really got a hold over your kids in the most beautiful way, baby. So even while you guys are separated right now and it feels like shit around your kids is kind of potentially scary for you, I don't know if it does or if it feels like it, but it feels like it's potentially like nerve-wracking. She's got like your kids like hand on their shoulder, but also hand on their collar. Yeah. So Aphrodite, you're going to run in Aphrodite and Venus off of me. Or Freya. Because that's Aphrodite, Venus, Freya. Those are all Venus. Love and war. So that's why I laugh when people mess with me. Because I'm like, I'm Venus. Like, Mars is just straight war. But I'm love and war. Like, what made you think fucking with someone that's skilled in both is a good idea? Mm-hmm. Just like Meta being your dad, and I've embodied both. I've worked heavily and give guidance from both. Are you my son, Arnold? Is that why? And the coincidence with you having your first name is like my last name is just too much sometimes. Where I'm like 6 degrees to Kevin Bacon. Right? But that is also when we hurt each other. Yeah. You're a deity. Arnold, you're an ascended master in this lifetime. I need you to recognize that. Like, if you haven't set your crown up yet, right? You're an ascended master in this lifetime, Arnold. That's why I feel you and I probably have such that, yeah. That's why you and I connect on such a deep, integral level, because I recognize that I'm an ascended master. And I don't say that as cap or like flex. That's not anything to brag about, because people don't like you when you know shit and when you are a deity, right? People don't fuck with that. I think that's also probably why we share that Egyptian. Arnold, the day that we meet in person, like, some shit's gonna melt down, right? Because the knowledge dump, the energetic dump, is just going to be off the charts, right? You bring all of that divinity and knowledge together, and we're going to glitch some shit. Like, I naturally glitch out the system and the matrix. Like, I identify as that, right? Like, I'm a glitch in the system, don't care. But it definitely caused some electronic and electrical disturbances. But you start putting the healers together. That's why they keep us so separated. And that was also done by design too. Like, for the safety of the planet, all of the keys were broken apart so that you couldn't control everything. Like, it was really like a safety design by the divine. And as we start to heal and as we start to bring the universe back together, right, for the next steps, you're going to start seeing the ascended start joining forces. It's also, and I'm going to speak about this as well. And hopefully everybody in here, and if you're not, I don't really care. But like, hopefully everybody in here is talking, like, okay with talking about excelling concepts, because I know not everybody gets this, but I know, like, Arnold, you're probably just pinging real hard right now. Ley lines. So while I'm anchoring the East Coast, I know, Arnold, you're anchoring the West Coast, and because I've dropped some energetics and ley lines on the West Coast and in California, so it literally acts as like a high-speed connection. So while I feel so weird on the East Coast, I also know that I'm holding an energetic frequency and I'm dumping it straight into the ley lines with the light codes, but you on the West Coast are also, you know, holding your grids. Just like Tag, I know you said you're in the Midwest. Yeah. So Tag, you're gridding the north, and whoever's on the south or kind of middle is gridding there too. So it is like that fiber optic. And Sammy Jane, like, I know you said you're UK, so you've got the roots on that side as well. If you look at my ancestry, I'm very much European. I'm a European nut, but I've got a lot of European and Norwegian ancestry. That's the other, because they've lied to us about so much shit, right? If you talk, like, when we talk about Papa Legba has a wife, right? They say you don't get into the spiritual realm without first going through Legba, but they don't talk about Papa Legba's wife, who is the guardian of the cemetery, right? But Papa Legba, while he originates from the Caribbean, his wife is Celtic, and from, like, so that part, Papa Legba's wife, while he again is African, his wife is white, right? I have a lot of German in me as well, Tag, so I get it. That's also how I know, like, I'm sturdy stock, and I'm like I'm built to last, because I have a lot of that ancestry, but I also have a lot of like Norwegian, English. I have a teeny bit of Scottish. No Irish, which also is weird because I married an Irish man at one point. So, and that's the, like, they don't tell us the truth. Like, Thoth had a wife, right? And it is now actually time for Thoth's wife to step up and lead the boardroom meeting. So the boys are going to have to sit down for a little bit. Okay. All right, Sammy Jane, please be safe in your travels. And send me your email, baby, and I'll send you some manifestation pages, right? And they're just prompts to help you dig a little bit deeper into shadow work, guys. Any of the manifestation, they're like journal pages, but it's just to help remind you, like, it's helped to, like, dig in deeper into the shadow, which isn't uncomfortable. Like, it's uncomfortable, but if you truly want to transform your life, you have got to be willing to go into the shadow and the underworld. That's why I talk about being an underworld queen. That's why I talk so much about healing and shadow work, is because if you want to know how to grow, you have to go deep and dig in, right? Seeds don't grow in the dark, or they don't grow in the light. They start their process in the dark. That's where you grow, is in the dark. So don't be scared of it. If you need help, I am here to help guide you in and out of that realm. Just always be nice and respectful, because I can leave you behind, and I have before for other assholes. So don't make me do it. And you said you're German and Irish. Awesome. Well, okay, so I will say this, Arnold. If it were to be a love match between you and I, one of us is going to have to move. And if I'm moving west, we would move west and north. My kids are okay with that. But right now, I'm not saying that, like, we're a love match. But some things are like, I'm like, you know, this is a little creepy. But Oregon, Washington, otherwise, yeah. And that's why I also talk about alchemization. Like, everybody wants to run and they're scared. I'm like, dude, if you truly want growth, you've got to get gritty, nitty, dirty in the mud and dig yourself the fuck out. It's not easy, but you can change. Like, with myself and with others, it's not just me. Like, I talk about this all the time, so let's talk about it, right? Let's squawk about it. I watched one of my clients, and she's a Scorpio, which I don't know if you've ever personally been victimized by a Scorpio or an Aries, but it's a different level of hell. And I was married to a Scorpio for 15 years. I've known that motherfucker for almost 19. But that being said, they're very stubborn. They're very hard-headed. They never want to admit that they're wrong. But I took this woman, and I didn't give her, like, I did not back off when she wanted to bully me. I'm like, nope, you have met your bully. But I helped her transform. She went from limited mobility, walking with, sometimes in a wheelchair or walking with like a walker, to this woman within 6 months' time had healed a shit ton of her family trauma, had gained her mobility, like I say, was on a wheelchair, to actually walking with partial assistance from a cane or no cane at all, going out on dates, reconnecting with past life connections to do the healing, forgiving her mother, healing the connection between them, like her and her estranged daughter, her telling her father off, right? So much transformation in a very short amount of time, but it came through actually digging down and not running away from the hard part. What is your question, Jay? If you're, be respectful, because if you're going to be disrespectful, I'll bounce you real fast. That's a promise. So, ask away. Jay, did you hear me? You can ask, but you have to be respectful. So if it's going to be disrespectful, then please remove yourself before I have to remove you. Hey, Johnny girl, how are you? We're doing a deep dive into gigantic spiritual lessons. How, like, Tag and Arnold, if you can let Johnny girl know how, if you're liking the vibe right now with all the deep conversations. Good. What smell? What smell was it, and what is the context of how you smelled it? And thank you for being respectful, and I love answering questions like this. I don't remember, and Arnold, can you help me? What is it when you smell through Claire? I can't remember it off the top of my head. Claire Oliphant? Maybe not. What is spiritual sense? Smell called. There are always, I'm looking it up right now. Claire olfaction. So I was close, because your smelling is your olfactory nerves. So if you're smelling it, it's clear olfaction. All right. Thank you, Arnold. Yes, and I talk about random. They're not random. Guys, I need you to recognize that anything we talk about or anything you experience is not random or coincidence, especially with me. And also, I need everybody to recognize that time with me is a gift, and it's also finite. Like, I'm not always around. I'm not always going to be around. And when it's time for me to go, I have to go. It's not personal. It's divine, right? People get real offended. They think like, oh, I'm going to have you forever. They think like they're going to be able to reference me. And I'm like, you've got to appreciate the time that you have with me, because once I'm gone, I'm gone. Okay, so Jay, if you're still in, what was the smell? And I'll try and give you the meaning, okay? Or can you place the smell? Was it good? Was it bad? Did it smell familiar? Because we will smell, things from other realms, right? But they're signs, synchronicities, stuff like that. I remember there were points when I was going through deep trauma healing, and I would smell my uncle's aftershave, right? Because he used to wear that Old Spice, like the old school Old Spice, and we don't smell it that much anymore. But okay, have you been drinking breast milk? No shade. No shade. Like, I know men like breast milk, but okay, so smelling it, that can be a connection. Is your mom this side or the other side? And it's a reminder to nurture yourself, right? So make sure you're taking beautiful care of your temple, but this is probably a shadow guide that you need to sit with something about your mom or about motherhood and nurturing. But it's a way for your higher self to say, hey, do you remember that you also need to be taken care of? And if you don't have someone to take care of you, you need to be the one to take care of you, right? Yeah, well, so it all goes, okay. Okay, I'm going to go, give me 2 minutes, please, ladies and gentlemen. I've had 4 pregnancies and 3 babies sit on this bladder, so give me just a moment. We're going to talk about random, because we're going to talk about 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Please remind me when I come back. I will be super fast, right? Thank you, Johnny Girl, for hopping in. Thank you for showing love. We've been talking about such like spiritual topics that are not normal mainstream, taking us all the way into our dreams, right? If anything, guys, I serve to be an inspiration. If I can do it, you can do it. Thank you for sending roses. As a daughter or as Venus myself, roses are always appreciated. Yeah. And that's the part, like, even with my kid. Okay, so I'm a yapper, but my kid's a yapper too. Like, that kid used to fall asleep talking to the wall. But her and I, God, I don't remember recently. Like, we were up till like 8 in the morning. And then we finally fell asleep because we were just yap all night long. But so many diverse conversations, but they're all relevant. They're all interconnected. When I come back, I'm going to write it down so I remember. But I want to talk about a Kevin Bacon experience. Because if anybody knows Kevin Bacon, they always talk about the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. I do actually have a legit story about him from 2 summers ago that is kind of funny. And if you have Amazon Prime, I'm going to recommend a show for you, a little series, and it has to do with spirituality. It has to deal with all of this, right? So, if you want, I'll look up the show when I get back too. Okay, give me a minute, guys. I'll BRB. And I also forget to pee because I am a yapper, right? I get distracted. As a kid, I used to get distracted and I'd pee myself because I just get into something and forget.
Sorry guys, took an extra minute because I had to put on muscle rub because I have a bitchin' headache going on. I'll be back. Hold on. Just filling my water now. Abel. Look, handsome. Hi, Badger. Yes. I know. Okay, so let's talk about 6 degrees to Kevin Bacon. And please pardon me, I do have a little bit of a headache because starvation and stress and under medication. So, okay. And also tag and Arnold where it can be that connection because Odin's been coming up the last few days as well. And the Vikings and Valkyries. I don't know if anybody else has felt it, heard the call, anything as such, but that kind of ancestry has been coming up. I had to have that conversation with myself yesterday, Arnold. I'm like, am I doing the right thing? So thank you for the confirmation, baby. Okay. And Arnold, I just got reminded, but I got the download for you too. My kids are coming back a lot faster than I recognize. And your kids are coming back a lot, like they're going to be in your arms. I know it's been a very long year, baby, but I feel like your kids are about to be like landing in your arms. So please, because I had that little like pop up while I was back there. So when I talk about the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, 2 years ago, yeah, and that's even with my kids, like the time that I've been apart from them has been way too long because I was the primary parent for all of their childhood, and even though I worked full time, I was still the primary parent. So for me, this whole separation has been excruciating. The fact that it's my daughter's birthday and I'm not there to celebrate with her, and I haven't been for the last 4 years because of family fucking drama and bullshit, it wrecks me inside. And then I have that whole like, am I doing the right thing? You know, it's like when I'm like, I should go no contact with my kids, but then I'm like, it doesn't feel right. Yet at the same time, being so open with them is also very painful at the moment because it's like every day I'm literally just ripping my heart out of my chest and throwing it on the ground and someone else is pissing on it. Let me look up that Kevin Bacon show really quick. Because I want to tell you guys. But I laugh because, okay, so we talk about 6 degrees Kevin Bacon. They always say, like, somebody, you know, like, we're all interconnected. It's like, you do one thing, and you're like, you turn the rock, and there's another reference to that person or connection. So what I laugh at is 2 years ago, he was here in town filming a show, which I'm going to find the show to give you guys the reference for, because it's actually, like, a really cool little show, and it has spirituality. So I was like, ooh. But it also made me realize, because one of the flowers that was in one of the episodes, I have growing wild in my yard. And when I went to look at it, and we'll talk about that too, the whole wild flowers in the yard is a funny experience as well. So when he was here, he had complained after the fact, and I didn't know any of this till after the fact, and then even when I watched the show, I was like, this is so weird. He had complained how nobody recognized him, right? He wasn't, like, he was in costume or disguise, and everybody treated him like a normal person. I was like, I wonder if when he was here filming for that show, because people had said, like, oh, he's in town, or there was a sighting, or blah, 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 but I was busy with my boyfriend at the time, and kid shit, and life, and exploring spirituality. I didn't pay too much attention, but I was, like, thinking, I was talking to my ex-boyfriend at the time, I was like, I wonder if we ran across paths with Kevin Bacon and never knew it. And like I say, he was complaining, he's like, nobody treat me special, everybody just treat me like I was an average Joe, and blah, 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 and I was like, that's what we don't realize. Every day you are coming across people that are hidden in plain sight that may actually be celebrities. They may actually be angelics. They may actually be
a healing hand from God. So I laugh at the 6 degrees to Kevin Bacon because he was in town. I was like, how wild would it have been if I ended up on Kevin Bacon's radar and him and me not treat. And here's the part of it, because I was born and raised in a very affluent town. I wasn't like, I don't treat celebrities or doctors or their wives or anyone any different than anyone else, right? Because in the end of the day, we're all human. I'm going to treat you with kindness and compassion, but I'm not going to give you preferential treatment. But I did think it was kind of funny. I thought it was kind of funny. I was like, what if I had actually met Kevin Bacon and not really ever known? So it's called The Bondsman. The Bondsman is on Amazon. It's a really cool show. Like I say, it's all intertied to spirituality. It talks about him being basically like Papa Legba, like being a bounty hunter for the demonic realm and or death. So it was kind of a cool little. And then the reference to the flowers, like there is a part where the flowers grow, and it's protection. It's spiritual protection. So what I laughed about when I moved into this house, and Arnold, I posted on your post, I posted my driveway, right? That's my driveway. But the cool thing is when I moved into this house, I was like, I want yellow flowers lining my driveway, right? But I haven't had the time or the energy. And ironically, the universe actually planted yellow flowers, and the yellow flowers that are in my yard are for protection, spiritual protection. So it's kind of a little cool, like everything is interconnected. The other part in my yard, right? Because I don't actually do my grass. I just let everything flow freely like a wild child, because that's what I am, right? I've got African violets. And the cool thing about African violets is, even though my mom wouldn't necessarily understand or appreciate my path, my mom did love African violets. Ironically, I have one that sprouted on my steps. I actually have an African violet that sprouted on my steps in the concrete. So recognizing, be like the wildflower and grow wherever you're planted. But so then there's that. And then as well, I'm going to give one more just like little. Okay, so my best friend passed away in 2014. We were 32. She passed away, and her first ever tattoo was a daffodil. She was later in the game to getting tattoos. I think she got her first tattoo at 30 or 31, whereas I've been getting tattoos since I was 18 years old. Since I didn't live with my mama, and even when I did live with my mama, I just hid it. I hid my tattoos from my mom. That was hard when I first moved back in with her, and I was like, hey, don't freak out, but I'm going to turn around, and I've got this tattoo, so don't flip your wig. So her first ever tattoo was a daffodil, and the week that she died, I actually had a memorial tattoo, and it was a daffodil and a breast cancer rose a daffodil for Constance, and a breast cancer ribbon for my mother, because my former mother-in-law passed away in December of 2013, and Connie passed away. Just a FYI, guys, the next few weeks for me are going to be really hard emotionally. There's a lot of anniversary dates coming up, because my best friend died 2 weeks after my daughter's 5th birthday, so like her anniversary of her death's gonna be coming up in 2 weeks. Okay, so Connie, her first tattoo was a daffodil. I got a matching daffodil tattoo, and last year Hecate had come through, and she gave me a kitten who's very sassy. I've posted Penne before, but that's Hecate. And when that cat came in, I was seeing daffodils everywhere. Just not in my yard, right? Because I didn't actually plant it. But this year, and it was like a year anniversary from Penne being adopted into the family, there was actually 2 tiny yellow daffodil plants right around the anniversary of Penny's adoption appeared in my yard. And I was like, if the universe doesn't, like, the universe really does be over here guiding, supporting, sending us love, sending us beauty, even throughout the pain. I know this is a lot to talk about. Hopefully, again, you guys have enjoyed this, like all of the random synchronicities and signs and interconnectedness. Yeah. I'm also curious because I feel like for my own heritage, I definitely feel like a lot of gypsy energy within my soul. So, yeah. And that's the other part, like how many tough days that I've had where it's like, I'll look up, and actually this as well. An example of this, when I first started my spiritual journey, hearts were my signs from the universe. Like, I absolutely love hearts. I would see them everywhere. And what I hated was the non-believers who'd be like, you know, like, it would be like a partially formed heart, or they couldn't see it because it wasn't perfect. And I was like, it doesn't need to be perfect. And we're going to talk about that in a minute too, because that saves our ass in a lot of things. Is being able to see it, even if the borders aren't always clear, is a benefit. We'll talk about it. But when I first started on the spiritual journey, hearts were like the universe would send me hearts. So like in the neighborhood that I lived with my ex-husband, it was a brand new, the part that we lived in was a brand new build. But when I would walk, and I walked all the time because it was better than being trapped in the house with him. And that house had a lot of bad energy on it. Like, this part geographically in the country has a lot of bad energy because of all the blood from all the wars, from the slavery, from everything, right? But it was one of those that I would be having one of the worst days, and because I was already looking down because I was depressed, and there would be hearts in the cement all around on the ground, right? And I was like, I love that there are hearts everywhere lining my path, and I see them everywhere. Like, I see them everywhere. I see hearts, but they always show up when I'm really having a hard time. So it's remembering that even when we feel lost and we can't find our navigation, the universe is out there like, let's see what we can get to get your attention, because you aren't alone, right? You aren't alone, and you are being guided, but you do have to be brave enough to keep walking. Tag, I can be both an amazing, like, I'm a Libra, right? So I can be a doll, but whether I'm Barbie or Bride of Chucky is dependent on how I'm treated, right? Like, people always say, like, oh, you're an angel. I'm an angel until you fuck up with me.